If your paycheck had tracked American productivity since 1971, you'd be making about $61,000 more every single year. Not a typo, 61,000. That money didn't vanish, it got moved, and I can show you exactly where it went. Here's the lie we've been told. Wages stagnated because the economy stopped growing. Wrong. Dead wrong. Since 1971, US GDP per capita more than doubled in real terms. The pie didn't shrink, it exploded. America got staggeringly richer. Look at this curve. Every recession, every crisis, the long-term trend just keeps climbing. Germany grew, France grew, the UK grew, but Americans worked harder, produced more, and somehow the median worker's real wages barely moved. That's not economics. That's a distribution problem. The wealth exists. It always existed. The only question is who got to keep it. Spoiler, it wasn't you. Now here's the counter-argument I always hear. This is just globalization. Every rich country went through it. Nothing we could do. That's a comforting story. It's also garbage. Look at the Gini coefficient, the standard measure of inequality. Germany, France, Sweden, even the UK face the same global forces. China rising, automation, offshoring, the internet. Their inequality barely budged. America's exploded. We're now closer to Mexico than to Germany on this chart. Same global economy, wildly different outcomes. Why? Policy, tax cuts on capital, union busting, a frozen minimum wage, deregulation. Other countries made different choices and got different results. Inequality in America isn't weather, it's a verdict. Want to know exactly where the money went? The top 10% of American earners now capture roughly 30% of all national income. In 1980, that number was closer to 23%. Every percentage point on this chart is hundreds of billions of dollars per year. France and Germany held the line near 25%. America blew past them and never looked back. This is the productivity gain. This is your missing $61,000. It didn't disappear into thin air. It got rerouted into stock buybacks, executive comp, and dividends to people who already owned everything. The top 1% alone now holds more wealth than the entire American middle class combined. Read that twice. Now, look at the mirror image. The bottom 20% of American earners take home barely 3% of national income. In Sweden, it's over 8%. France, around 7%. Same planet, same century, completely different societies. Meanwhile, the structure of work itself shifted. The share of Americans in stable wage and salaried jobs, the kind that built the post-war middle class, has been hollowed out from below by gig work, contract labor, and independent contractor status that strips benefits and bargaining power. Traditional middle-class jobs didn't evolve. They were dismantled, replaced by something cheaper, more precarious, and far less likely to support a family on one income. And then came inflation, the squeeze that finished the job. When wages are stagnant, every spike in prices is a pay cut. Look at the cumulative damage. Healthcare, housing, college, child care, the four pillars of a middle-class life, have all outpaced general inflation for decades. Workers in Germany and France absorbed inflation shocks with stronger labor protections, sectoral wage bargaining, and universal health care that doesn't bankrupt you. Americans absorbed it with credit cards. Household debt is now over $17 trillion. That's not prosperity. That's a population running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up while the floor disappears. Put it all together. The economy more than doubled. The top 10% captured the gains. The bottom 20% got crumbs. Stable jobs eroded. Inflation finished the squeeze. And every other rich country, facing the exact same global forces, ended up somewhere very different. There is no economic law that required this. Germany didn't get a different version of capitalism by accident. Sweden didn't stumble into low inequality. They taxed capital. They protected unions. They funded public goods. America did the opposite, on purpose, for 50 years straight. The American middle class didn't die of natural causes. It was killed by a 50-year sequence of policy decisions, tax cuts at the top, union destruction, deregulation, a minimum wage frozen in amber, and a healthcare system designed to bleed workers dry. The data is unambiguous. The wealth was created, the wealth was redirected, and every peer nation that made different choices got different results. Your missing $61,000 isn't a mystery. It's an address. It lives in the portfolios of people who convinced you the system was natural law. It isn't. It's a choice. And choices can be unmade. If you want more videos that replace political talking points with actual data, subscribe. No vibes, no hot takes, just charts that tell you what's really happening to your country and your paycheck.